Hello there, everybody. This is Jackie from CapCut Creations, and today we are interviewing my little sister who created this Dungeons & Dragons character, Jules Le Bohiem. So, Kaela, how's it going?
Pretty good, if I don't say so myself. I'm surviving in these times of quarantine. Luckily, things are kind of getting a little bit more flexible. We still have to wear masks in Texas, but that's kind of this whole thing of keeping other people protected, and we're not going to get into all of the junk because this is supposed to be super fun, and that's where Jackie's outlook of art comes in, is creating a positive environment. So here we are.
Yeah, for sure. Anyways, who is this character that I'm creating right now? Tell us a little bit about Jules and Saffir.
So, Jules Le Bohiem is a level 9 sorcerer under the draconic ancestry influence of the white dragon. Saffir is also a descendant of the white dragon because of her color, which you'll see in a little bit. I guess to elaborate further on their backstory, Jules is a half gnome, half dwarf. To be specific, he is deep gnome. So he has lived in the caverns of Palkelk his whole life, so up in the mountains, and it wasn't until later that he actually started fostering more of his source powers until his closer to his prime. As you can see, Saffir is a pseudodragon. She is, to be exact, a pseudodragon pup. She's actually very young, but she is full-grown size. Like how a cat can reach its full size by the time it's 1 year old. That's Saffir, basically. Jules made an immediate connection with Saffir when he was kind of just walking the streets of Palkelk and decided to just take a gander at their black market in secret. And he saw this poor, she almost looked pathetic, the poor girl. And he bought Saffir at a bargain price, mind you, on the black market because she was very ill. And, he bought her and nursed her back to health after seeing a clear connection. And this connection was that he saw himself in her because he once was that weak and pathetic and ill kind of child.
Interesting.
So, like I said, he was a very weak and shy boy. People made fun of him a lot because, mind you, he was tall because he was part dwarven, and he was pretty, husky, not fat, but just more built as a dwarf. But you could see a lot of gnomic features because his mother was a gentle, deep gnome, but his father was that he was a quarter dwarf and showed a lot more characteristics of being a dwarf than a gnome. And basically what happened at his young age to start his journey down the road of becoming an adventurer was he was, this is the cliche part, orphaned as a young boy. His mother died of unnatural causes. He was trying to figure that out, and his dad actually died in a mining accident. He had the choice of living with his raging dwarven alcoholic grandfather, but after a few months of abuse and having to put up with his crazy grandfather, who was a pure dwarf, he decided to take to the streets at a young age. He actually learned to become a charlatan by trade. Charlatan, to describe, is the guy as a street vendor would do card tricks for money and swindle people out of their money. Or heck, even he did the nutshell game where there's the 3 nutshells, and you say, hey, watch the seed under the nutshell, and then people have to follow it. And he had a great skill of stealth and sleight of hand, so he knew how to swindle people out of their money. And that's actually where he met a lot of adventurers who traveled to Palkelt. Now, it wasn't until later that Jules actually bought Saffir. It was closer to his prime, where he had already unlocked some of his sorcerer abilities and was a student of sorcery. One of his teachers had actually encouraged him to find a familiar so that he could have that deep connection with his white dragon draconic ancestry. And he actually stumbled across Saffir, and we know the story from there. He adopted Saffir not necessarily out of pity, but I guess it was partly out of pity, but at the same time, he wanted to help this adorable little creature become what she is meant to be, and that is to be a fierce and powerful pseudodragon. I mean, mind you, pseudodragons, they're limited in their powers, but they also can be very great at communication and telepathy, which that's actually how he would use Saffir, because he didn't want to put her in the line of battle or anything like that.
Right.
But that's to describe Saffir a little bit more, and her aesthetic is they come from the same ancestry. She's like a pocket-sized version of the white dragon. So,
cute. With the character designs that I came up with, you think I captured your vision well?
Most definitely. You can see in the soft kind of gnomic features in his face that he is the epitome of the chaotic neutral version of Meliodas, and you have the floofy hair and the wardrobe of Sweeney Todd, and that is really, really awesome. It's the blue aesthetics and the whites and the grays and things like that definitely captures the ice powers that he was born with and grew to love and grew to, I mean, just make him more powerful and things like that.
Yeah.
And you see the snowflake texture that you did in the background. I absolutely love it because it shows the great power that he has. He's just learning to unlock and grow from it. And blue is also my favorite color, so the skin tone, and I mean, we can go into all of that cosmetic kind of detail, but overall, I think that you chose a really great color scheme. Your textures and details that you did look phenomenal.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed doing this piece as a whole. Probably a couple of my favorite parts was doing the shading and coloring of Saffir's scales. I did have to use a filter on that layer to change it from the blues to more of like a bluish gray white kind of color instead, which I think turned out really well. And I had a lot of fun using the snowflake brush that I have on this app, Medibang Paint. It was a lot of fun to deal with that. However, Jules was a little bit harder to deal with. I struggled so hard with his hair. particularly in the sketch phases, but also a little bit in the coloring phase as well, because like I struggled with trying to capture the craziness of Sweeney Todd's hair to the point where it's like, at first I tried to just trace the general shape of Johnny Depp's hair as Sweeney Todd, and then look at it as a reference and copy it over. That didn't work. I tried to do a simpler outline of his hair and transfer it over by copying, and that didn't work. So I was like, okay, fine, I give up. I'm just gonna copy and form the hair to the head because I have had enough with this craziness. But
I remember you telling me about that. It actually turned out really well, and it definitely is a charlatan hairstyle in the city of Palkalk. It's got like that laid down, not too crazy kind of gentleman vibe, but at the same time, you still see a little bit of the chaos where he struggled with, and yes, he has emotional baggage, which the D&D character doesn't.
Yeah.
You can see where he has run his hands through his hair, just grasping at the traumatic events of his childhood, and I mean, you can still see the gentleness in his eyes, but at the same time, the hair, definitely the hair. He's all about his hair and his aesthetic. Mind you, he may be a little bit vain in how that sounds, but I'm pretty sure that as playing the character, I can capture that because I love my hair and I like messing with it and things like that. But at the same time, we're gonna get along great. I can definitely feel the spirit of Jules Le Bohiem, just overall and everything. His clothes too. Yeah, I mean.
Right. Okay, well, we are coming here to the end of the video. I wanted to thank you, Kaela, for letting me interview you, and so we could learn about Jules Le Bohiem. And also, thank you to my viewers for watching this video. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe to this channel, and also share it with your friends on social media so this channel can get out there and share the positive vibes that art can bring. Also, if you haven't yet, check in the links below in the description to see my website, my Facebook page, and my Instagram. Thank you guys so much for watching, and again, remember, stay inspired and create, and have a wonderful day. Bye, everybody.